Did Cathie Wood just declare the end of Bitcoin's 4-year cycle? Amidst a seeming tsunami of buying from Bitcoin Treasury companies, which we'll talk about in a minute, the ARK Invest CEO went on Fox Business to say that the predictable boom and bust rhythm is breaking, and she laid out exactly why. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
Bitcoin is behaving more like a risk-on asset. It has played the risk-off role at different times during the European sovereign debt crisis, during our regional bank crisis. But right now, it's risk-on. It is climbing another wall of worry, and that is the 4-year cycle. We think the 4-year cycle is going to be disrupted, and what I mean by that is Bitcoin regularly dropped 75 to 90% in its early days. The volatility is going down. It's down about 30 some odd percent. And I think there's a fear of the 4-year cycle. We think that the move by institutions into this new asset class is going to prevent much more of a decline. We may have seen the low a couple of weeks ago.
So, alongside Cathie Wood's comments here, we've also had Michael Saylor adding another 11,000 Bitcoin to the MicroStrategy stack. Something else is now also popping up on everyone's radar. Another major player already holding 43,500 coins just went public on the New York Stock Exchange. However, it's not your typical Bitcoin treasury story. The company's structure, its business model, the way it's positioning itself could be completely different. It could be redefining what a public Bitcoin holder looks like. And it's launching into a market where many of its peers are currently bleeding red. So, is paper Bitcoin summer becoming paper Bitcoin winter? Is the 4-year cycle really over? What does that mean for Bitcoin going forward if it is? We've got an awesome panel today to dig into all this and plenty more. We've got Pablo from Bull Bitcoin, Scott Dietls from Block Rewards, and John Dennehy from Me Premier Bitcoin. So drop a like on the video. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your bullish session. All right, I want to welcome to the stage Mr. Scott Dietls, John Dennehy, and Pablo. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. In the middle of a snowstorm right now, so hopefully everything goes well.
Beautiful, beautiful. John, how about yourself?
No snow here, but also doing well.
Awesome. And Scott, what's up?
Yeah, no complaints. I'm just getting set for my annual pilgrimage back to the motherland, Alberta, tomorrow, and trying to stay warm while I can.
Oh yeah, well, awesome. I'm very happy to have you guys on. I wanted to seed a little bit of a discussion off the top of the show. Cathie Wood seems to think the 4-year cycle is dead and over with, and she cites the seeming flood of institutions coming in that, she doesn't think there's going to be those 75 to 80% death drops anymore. And I alluded to another person, another company that is coming into the space that's a little bit different, although in the same vein of kind of the sailors of the world that have been the hot topic of the year. Some may say the shitcoin of the year. Pablo, I'm looking at you. but also no question that they've been top of everybody's mind. So I do want to play another little clip here. This is Jack Mallers, and he's talking about the launch of 21 Capital. It is now live on the New York Stock Exchange, but let's just listen to him chat a little bit about what they are up to in this clip.
Capital markets.
The last thing I'd throw at you is this notion that the original community was very centered on decentralization, right? The whole theory behind it. And now it's reliant on large institutions. Is that a surprise to the original community?
No, not at all. And I don't know if it's reliant on anyone. I think that, the fundamental point is Bitcoin is a public utility. It's software. It's text on paper. And anyone can do whatever they want with it without permission. That includes Citadel. That includes BlackRock. That includes Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon as well, right? I mean, I find it antithetical for a Bitcoiner to say, I don't like BlackRock, kick them out. Do you know what you own? Anyone can do what they want, and that includes institutions. And so if this asset is going to play the monumental role that I believe it will, then everyone is going to find value in it, including Wall Street. And here we are to deliver that value.
The stock fell in the debut, and I do wonder how you read that. And you know, those that say it's a SPAC, it's a treasury holding company, that's kind of like says speculative.
Yeah, my main message to the market is we're different. You know, people want to size us up like MicroStrategy. We're not. We're going to build cash flow, businesses, products. Tether and SoftBank is no slouch. People size us up to a Coinbase. We're not. We already own far more Bitcoin than they do, and we're going to continue to add to that. So the point is we're different, and the market's going to have to figure us out, and they can take as much time as they want. I plan to be the CEO of this company forever, and we are building for the long term. Again, these are executive team, a board, and a founding group that has been in this industry for a very long time. We have no problem with volatility. We have no problem with having long-term conviction, but I do think that the market's going to have to appreciate and understand who we are because it hasn't seen anything like us yet.
Now, he's basically pointing out here that their key thing isn't just we're going to buy a bunch of Bitcoin and then thus you should buy our stock. He's talking about companies that actually create a cash flow and trying to step away from the pack with that. But he also has previously mentioned that unlike somebody like Saylor, they're going to actually prove that they own the Bitcoin that they do. So that is also something that is a little bit different. So I'm going to bring it to the panel here to pontificate on this. One, is the 4-year cycle significantly changed now that we've seen in the past? And two, will paper Bitcoin summer move forward into paper Bitcoin 2026, or is this a fad that is dissipating? So I'll leave it to you guys. What do you think?
I'm kind of with Cathie halfway on this thing. I think that the dynamics are definitely changing as the profile of the buyers change. And, you know, ahead of the episode, right, as disclosure, I was in on this. I think at 90,000 at this point in the cycle should be, an indication that things could be getting different. And, you know, it has nothing to do with whether you think that MicroStrategy stock is good or not, or like, you know, nothing to do with any of that. I think that people are selling into the prediction that we're about to drop to 60 or whatever. I'll buy back lower. 10,000 whole coiners just like permanently lost an opportunity to do that. So we're seeing what I think is sort of like a transition of like soft, weak hands to strong hands. Like those coins are never coming back. I personally don't think, you know, I get it. There's some fine print that under the right circumstances, MicroStrategy might have to sell, but I don't see it. I think they are going to be able to continue to buy. And I think what we're watching now is big chunks of coins going out of circulation unless they really screw up. And so is that going to mean that there's like lower downside volatility over time? It's at least possible. I wouldn't be selling right now thinking that I'm going to outsmart these guys. And yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I want to pass it to Pablo here as well. What do you think about these kind of shifting dynamics? They talked a little bit in the beginning of the clip with Mallers about the original community and that things are different, and kind of alluding to the dudes with billions of dollars having control of this thing. How do you read into this? How do you feel, being somebody that obviously is coming from it from a perspective of an individual taking sovereign control of their wealth? You know, I think we're all kind of in that camp here, but what's your read on the current situation?
It's over. They talked about us. They pointed to us. They were on CNBC talking about the community. Like, they know where we are. They know where we live. They're coming to get your Bitcoin. Hold on to it, lock it down, because they're buying it up. Like, is it good for the top end of Bitcoin adoption? Sure. But is it what we really want? No. Like, the narrative change has shifted from being a subculture of resistance and opting out into being like, buy my stock. And it's great to see some of the people who've worked long and hard on Bitcoin be in the limelight. But at the end of the day, is it the direction we want to push from? And I think it's it's a free asset, as Mal has said. People are going to buy into it. The smartest people in the room will always buy it before they'll, it's to do with the IQ curves. But is that what we want for adoption? Is that how it goes? There's nothing we can do to stop it. So I think when I'm watching all of this thing play out in front of us with the knackers, with the Capital 21s and everything, like the key word that I always hear around this kind of conversation is conviction. Like, because now we've got to work out what is the conviction of all of these people. What is the conviction of BlackRock? What is the conviction of Saylor? What is the conviction of the Naka Fund, of Jack, like, and everything like this? And they're swimming with sharks. Like, this is the fiat pool, right? This is the fiat utopia of where they want to be on Wall Street. So if there's a smell of blood in the ocean, like, that could be really disastrous for the amount of volumes that we're seeing being accumulated under one person. Like, obviously, we're not going to be able to stop them. Is that what we stood for 5 years ago? Heck no. So it's just so crazy to see how much attention this has taken from a lot of Bitcoiners, to be honest. And it's something that I, as a non-business owner, as a non-investor, as a non-Wall Street guy prior to Bitcoin, I ain't going to be one now just because I'm a Bitcoiner. Like, that doesn't change for me. So I'm not going to be able to talk about MNAVs and like stock to flow and like all this stuff. Like, I was honestly in it for a change, and a change in culture was where I came into Bitcoin. So it's where I'm going to stay. But, hats off to the guys who are making lots of extra zeros out there, like, good play to them. But it was funny, however, how when they were like, yeah, but actually, like, Capital 21 is like sold off a lot, the price is down, and then they cut and went to like Jack selling the boardroom again. It's interesting to see how they're going. But you asked me what I was bullish about. We'll get into it. But I was kind of like trolling in our group chat earlier. I'm kind of bullish that these things are down against Bitcoin. Like, NACA's been an absolute shit show. Like, and that's kind of cool, like, because it kind of will bring people hopefully back around to like, hey, should we have just bought Bitcoin? But anyway, we can get into lots of different angles on this. Like, my mind's already made up, but my attention is being given less and less to this type of subject, to be quite fair. I don't think it's how I want to contribute by studying what this board member guy of some investment platform is going to do with the next amount of Bitcoin he's going to buy. I'll just be like, yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, 100%. Well, John, I hear you giving a good chuckle there as Pablo's speaking. What's your general read here, and do you have anything to add?
I agree with much of what Pablo said there. I think he nailed it. I almost take issue with, I forget the exact quote that Jack Mallers said when he was asked, is this what OG Bitcoiners expected? And he was like, yeah, of course, it's not, right? I got into Bitcoin in 2013. I saw it as anarchist money. I saw it as a way to push back against the state, a way to push back against Wall Street. So is it maybe predictable that eventually they would get involved? Yes, absolutely, because part of hyper Bitcoinization is everyone gets involved. So that part is predictable, but so I guess so in a way you could say that it was expected, but I think the way that it's trying to be reframed is that it was expected and the OG Bitcoiners are happy about it. And I do not think that's true. Maybe it was expected, people are going to use Bitcoin however they want. That's always been the case. That will continue to be the case. But there's a difference between acknowledging that Bitcoin is your enemy's money and cheering for your enemy, right? Because I very, very much still consider Wall Street to be the enemy. That has not changed at all.
Is there a world where your cypherpunk Bitcoiner that is using this as freedom money coexists peacefully in a world where you have huge multinational, trading firms and everything utilizing Bitcoin as they see fit as well?
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I think the work of everyone here now is more important than ever, because if not for like grassroots education and these grassroots efforts, then I would be pretty concerned if it was totally dominated by Wall Street and governments and all that. I think that we could all coexist and people will use Bitcoin for whatever purpose serves them best. But I think it's really important that we don't let them have the whole pie, right? That we continue to push, you know, these original ethos of Bitcoin, that at least 1% of the community stays true to that. And I think that is happening. I think that is the future that we will have. People will use it for different reasons. Some people will use it just as, you know, a stock, basically. But it's like people could use custodial Bitcoin. There's nothing wrong with that, but there would be a huge problem if self-custody wasn't possible, right? So custodial Bitcoin is fine so long as self-custody is also an option. And that's kind of how I see it with this. Like, you know, stocks and all that is, and governments, corporations adopting Bitcoin or holding Bitcoin is fine so long as we could still use it for the more revolutionary purposes.
Yeah, yeah, and I will say that. So I just returned from the African Bitcoin conference, and I was going in the hopes of seeing something different from your typical Western Bitcoin conference, where it's, you know, it's been kind of Bitcoin, paper Bitcoin summer, all that kind of stuff. And I was not disappointed. So I will say that throughout every talk that I watched, not a single fuck was given about Bitcoin treasury companies, because the people there are dealing with using money against tyrannical regimes. They are escaping things like the CFA franc system, where France has instituted its own currency in 15 African nations and can devalue it at will, while simultaneously getting first dibs on all of the resources of those companies and paying in the money that they print and devalue as they see fit. And so people are navigating these systems, not to mention a very, very broken kind of multiple monetary system throughout Africa, where the second you leave your border, your local currency is completely worthless. Like, you can't even exchange it, where these currencies and systems don't talk to each other whatsoever. And these people basically get screwed monetarily in the process. And Bitcoin is being presented as a solution. And in some great examples, they are actually using it in a circular manner, not to mention people being able to plug into existing payment mechanisms like M-Pesa, and building things for people on the ground, or even in areas where internet connectivity is not great, being able to utilize Bitcoin with feature phones with basically like SMS text message systems, and it still works. So like some really interesting problem solving things going on down there. So I do want to give a tip of the hat to Farida Nabarima, who put together the African Bitcoin conference. She and everybody there did a fantastic job, and I was very happy to be able to kind of take in everything that's going on down there. So, nonetheless, gentlemen, I'll put a pin in this conversation for now, because I'm here to find out why you guys are currently so bullish and all of the things that you're up to, and that's top of mind. And so I'm going to do that, and we're going to start actually with Scott, Mr. Scott Deedles of Block Rewards, and I want to ask you the same question everybody's going to get: why are you bullish?
We that was at my actual why were we bullish. I just want to say I was actually bullish on the sailor buy, and for all those reasons. But yeah, I mean, I think like if you look at what's going on right now, it's a funny time for Bitcoin to kind of be like up 1% 4 years after, and have this weird kind of like mass PTSD hysteria around what might happen when, you know, all of these things, whether you're pro them or not. I think they actually are really bullish. This year has been a massive year of, let's say, adoption, and it might not be adoption in the way that everyone wants to see it look. You know, like there's been backward steps. You know, we're talking about El Salvador offline. Like, I think that, but on the other side, even as these big paper Bitcoin stock companies screw up, those I think also represent an important step in the maturation of big players trying to figure out what it means to try and monetize this asset in a way that is meaningful and actually works. And I think that we'll look back in 5 years at what was going on as like just another kind of like step in the chain, right? It's like a collective reasoning of how this technology gets applied. And this might be a bad analogy because it's on the fly, but you know, we get to have Signal because of the internet and private messaging apps. And at the same time, like McDonald's also figured out how to make the majority of their sales online. Like, and so these are just things that are going to be applied by average people, like you said, in Africa, and then also, you know, people with the big stacks of cash are going to figure out a way to profit from it too. So to me, it's like the overall of the ecosystem. It's exciting. Like I think like, you know, just put price action aside to the upside and look at what's going on. And, you know, heading into 2026, like, man, I'm like, let's go.
Now I got a question for you. Given like you said, everybody, there's this kind of PTSD feeling of like, why is the price not, you know, 10xing and all this stuff, you know, as, you know, Saylor seemingly has an endless stream of cash flowing in and everybody and their grandmother is stacking in their treasury company. Do you think there's some fuckery afoot as well? While, you know, is there a reason behind the panic? Are people rightfully saying what the hell is going on? Or is this just, you know, OGs unloading because, you know, they want to buy themselves a yacht after, you know, 13 years of hodling? Is it?
Yeah, I think that narrative to me is like Swiss cheese and never held any, like, come on, people. To me, you know, I think there's a ton of fuckery going on, and there's like not coincidental at all that the Vanguard product got launched like weeks after this 30% correction. And, you know, like I really don't try to talk about price a lot, but yeah, it's amazing to me how many people who are interested in cycles and charts ignore like the order books that you see from Binance and Coinbase, and you can see like coordinated mass dumping happening. Like when and there was like, I don't know, whenever it was, a couple weeks back, 4 straight Mondays, you know, $10,000 drops within hours. And it's not accidental at all. You know, I think that this just is something that's going on. And yes, the people who are planning to buy a ton are going to do it in a way that is absolutely the most advantageous for them. And it's like, to Pablo's point, the best thing you can do, self-custody your Bitcoin and ignore the short term, you know, like you get exposed to the stuff with leverage. Like otherwise it doesn't matter, because like if you're thinking about Bitcoin's price movements in terms of weeks anyways, you're going to set yourself up for like a really uncomfortable ride. And so, yeah, man, I think they are completely messing around with it. I think that's totally going to continue. I think the price will go up when they're ready for it to go up. You know, and it could happen that it goes up sooner. Like, you know, the other thing I think that is super bullish that has nothing to do with Bitcoin is that gold added $1 trillion to its market cap in a week back in September. You know, so anybody who thinks that Bitcoin can't do like a parabolic run like it has done historically in the previous cycles really isn't thinking about what's going on sort of like with macro, with like global liquidity and what other asset classes are doing as a response to like this general level of fear around interest rates, the collapsing bond stability in Japan. You know, there's just a lot of other factors at play that I think that the big players are lining their pieces up for a Bitcoin run that will make people's faces melt.
So fuckery foot.
Yeah.
I had a question. Sorry. Yeah, just to Scott's point there. I do think like everything that we just watched, the Cathie Woods clip, the Jack Mallers clip, and the paper Bitcoin winter or whatever it may be, we could be 2 weeks away from that becoming totally irrelevant and outdated, right? Like Bitcoin can surprise us, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. But I was just wondering from like the three of you as well, like I go to my Twitter and scroll the feeds now, and like I don't think it's PTSD. I think it's like there is definitely like a fatigue of breaking news and like some more like adoption tweet and then a price not moving and then more like radical adoption on Twitter, but not a lot happening in the price. And I'm just wondering when you like, it's crazy that you said the word they. The price is going to go up when they decide. And I'm like, holy shit, Bitcoin has been divorced from their own asset. You know what I mean? Is it like it belongs to them now? And who the fuck is they, right? It's like it's kind of like a crazy one to think that we can be in tune to all of this like buzz and this hype around it, but then we've seen that it's not doing what we are all saying it's doing, even if the tweets get reposted and shared. There's a lot of clickbaitery as well as fuckery, I think, going on.
I mean, I think like the people who are using Bitcoin as money realistically don't have enough money to move the price in a meaningful way. Like all of the people in Africa, this is not a disrespectful thing. It's just like, this is kind of the way it goes. So it's almost like, yeah, for me, I think you have to sort of divorce what Bitcoin's price is worth in dollars and then how much Bitcoin you have and how you're able to use that in your own life. And like, if you can think of the two things as separately, they're just different functions, I think. And it's probably sad, but true that, the big boys are going to determine the meaningful movements of Bitcoin's price.
Which kind of slightly, there is a medium of exchange there, but one of the first buy-ins to a lot of newbies is store of value. So is this tainting the store of value property, which is probably the first and easiest orange pill to swallow for a lot of people? Like, I kind of feel bad as an evangelist for like people I've been like, yeah, the 4-year cycle, like I'll onboard you, here's your cold card, let's get a seed phrase in metal. And then things don't play out the way that they're supposed to, between like air quotes.
I mean, I think that it's like, okay, well, there's number go up is a really important recruiting tool for Bitcoin for sure. And if that proves to not be true over longer periods of time, then Bitcoin's going to have a real problem. So if gold outperformed Bitcoin over a 4 or 5 year time frame, then Bitcoin's got a challenge. But that's not store value, right? Because store value is not getting wrecked by holding dollars. And that has still been true. So I think that they're kind of separate things. Sorry, John, I jumped in front of you there, man.
Oh yeah,
you weren't ready to talk, anyways.
Yeah, I had him on mute.
Yeah, John, I'm curious your feeling on this too, because obviously you've been educating people in Bitcoin from around the globe, and many of them are obviously not on the institutional, I'm going to buy my stock or my treasury company shares and everything like that. How important is when you're educating people on this, how important is number go up versus censorship resistance versus just general like escape your crappy local currency?
Yeah, so it's contextual, right? Like it depends on where the person is. In the US or Canada, Europe, probably it's very much about number go up. In the global South, like here, I'm in El Salvador right now, censorship resistance is a big topic. There's, we're relatively close to Venezuela and Nicaragua, and people know how restrictive currency control is there. So people are very familiar with that. So that appeals to them more. So, I mean, the great thing about Bitcoin is there's something for everyone, right? And that's a good thing. As much as I will not be cheerleading paper Bitcoin and Bitcoin treasury companies, it fits a use case for someone, right? And that's one of the great things about Bitcoin is there's something for everyone. So it really depends a lot on the individual and also the geography, what appeals to them.
Fair enough. That makes sense. And again, I'd echo that from my experience this past couple weeks. Yeah, I mean, it's you want you obviously want NGU technology, but you also want that censorship resistance. You want all of that, and it doesn't preclude others from saying, "Hey, I'm going to hold this in a company stock and buy my stock because I have some of it," even though the best course of action would probably be to own it yourself. So nonetheless, Scott, I'm going to give you kind of the final word here. What would be your general lesson to people, kind of taking a 10,000 foot view of the current situation, what you can see in terms of panic or maybe not even panic, but disillusionment in the general kind of Twitterverse and all of that?
A couple things that come to mind. One is, I feel really bad for people who got caught up in paper Bitcoin summer and bought all the stonks. And it really sucks because, there's a lot of people who are down 99% in their Bitcoin terms had they just held. There's some real painful lessons. And I think that some of those companies could end up figuring out meaningful ways to build businesses around owning Bitcoin. I personally don't own any. And, and they're just really different. It's a totally different game. I was initially worried that some of them would fully go down, and this thing about MNAV where, if the Bitcoin your company owns is actually worth more than the company, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen a hostile takeover yet where a hedge fund just buys NACA and immediately dumps all the Bitcoin and just pockets the arbitrage. And that's kind of a scary systemic thing. So it hasn't happened yet. I actually kind of wonder if Strategy is going to end up buying these sub M1 MNAV companies, and I don't know why they wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, sort of beyond that, I think that one Bitcoin still one Bitcoin. That's the good news. And it's just for me really more about letting go of the this is what I want to say, the psychology of 4-year cycles, because I don't think that cycles will end, because every asset, every market trades on boom bust cycles, on human fear and greed, and that will not change with Bitcoin. It's just we have some predetermined expectation around when this moment is meant to arrive and whether or not it's happened. I think that has a lot to do with what Pablo was saying around with this crazy dopamine depleted, attention deprived ADHD society that makes everyone and we're obsessed with 24/7. Is this happening? Has it happened? It's already happened. And so
now it's over.
Yeah, we're gonna just kind of have to wait and see. And what I think is going to happen is eventually there will be a large scale buying pressure that creates a supply shock and a price movement like people are used to. And I don't think that thing cares at all about whether or not it's been 4 years since the last one happened. So I don't think booms and busts are over. I don't think that this cycle is over. And I think people just have to chill. And that's honestly the beautiful part about Bitcoin. If you're not trying to treat it as a get rich quick thing, then it really shouldn't matter. I was thinking about this morning. Bitcoin's kind of it was fuck you money, but now it's fuck you money. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I again, to your point, this past cycle has kind of done away with a lot of the expectations of the past. The drawdown in the bear market was, we didn't think it could go below previous all-time high. It did, but then also we hit a new all-time high before the halving, and then we've just had kind of this sideways crab walk for a whole year. And so I think a lot of those expectations are going to be blown out of the water. And I don't think the halving matters nearly as much as it used to, clearly, because the drop in issuance is really minute now, and so you're not going to have much of an effect. And so it's just a function of how many people get it and how many people are actually acting on the knowledge of what Bitcoin truly is. And so, yeah, and there will be also fuckery afoot in the midst of all that too. So
yeah, maybe just to that as a final thought, man. And this is why I wouldn't be trying to outsmart it or outtrade it or think that it's a fair market. It's not. Collector sats hodl them away, hold on, and let other people screw up. Other people will screw up the same way they did buying paper stocks this summer. And it's an unfortunate part about every person is on their own kind of like individual lesson with this thing.
Yeah, 100%. Well, gents, let's put a bow on that topic. We're going to do another rotation here. Scott, thank you for that. And before we do, we're going to go to John momentarily and find out why he is so damn bullish. I'm always happy to hear why John is bullish. But we're going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We'll be back in just 1 minute. If you're enjoying the conversation, please do drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe. And if you're new to the channel and you're here just because you like the news and maybe you're only in stonks, you should check out actually self-custoding your Bitcoin. It is super important. Again, and at the end of the show, I always drop a link to btcsessions.ca/learn, where you can actually follow a trajectory of learning how to create your first wallet, how to self-custody, all of that stuff, and you can level up and actually be self-sovereign. But I digress. Oh, quick shout out to our sponsors. We'll be back in about a minute to find out why John is so bullish. See you in a sec. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The Tap Signer gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away.
Abundant Mines is an Oregon-based husband and wife-owned Bitcoin mining company making Bitcoin mining accessible to investors of all ages and experience levels. Their fully managed white glove service allows you to own all of your own equipment and earn steady Bitcoin-denominated income without lifting a finger. Whether you're starting with 10,000 or 10 million, Abundant Mines is your one-stop shop. No overseas call center, no surprise upcharges. With one-on-one onboarding, consulting, and help navigating both Bitcoin and the Bitcoin mining space at every turn, you can rest easy while Bitcoin flows to you 24/7. Learn more at abundantminds.com.
All right, we are back in, and we are going to go to John next and find out why he's so bullish. So, John, fill us in. What's top of mind for you? What are you excited about?
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what I think was, for me at least, a theory become a reality, that independent Bitcoin education is becoming a real global movement around the world, right? That there were these pockets of Bitcoin educators, and they're increasingly coming together to support each other, to learn from each other, to just be better Bitcoin educators together. Just this morning, so I'm especially conscious of this as my first Bitcoin is kind of completed what has been maybe a year-long transition to being fully international and having a model that in fiat terms would be training the trainer, but we like to call empowering those who empower others. And literally before this call, I was on a different call with educators as part of this network that we're part of, the Independent Bitcoin Educators Network, talking with educators in England, Argentina, and Kenya about other Bitcoin education projects in Pakistan, the United States, and another project in Kenya. And that is something that is speeding up, right? This is something that did not exist a couple of years ago. And now in my first Bitcoin, now this is our primary purpose, to support this. And every month It's accelerated. We got these 3 applicants to join the network. We're just this week, right? So it's 3 new countries just this week. So that is super, super bullish. And as part of that, it's more than just having Bitcoin educators that talk to each other and learn from each other. There's other things that are evolving that give me confidence that this is a real movement that has legs, that is here to stay. And kind of a plug or a shout out, there's an auction going on. It was just in Bitcoin Meta, featured there. It ends tomorrow, for a history of Bitcoin book. It's a really special art book. It's the first edition. The proceeds, 79% of the proceeds, will go to My First Bitcoin. We're expecting it to, it's an auction, so who knows, but it's a very special book, so we're expecting it to be pretty significant, the proceeds from this, which will help us build out this network. And that is also something new, right? That people are thinking like, oh, we need to, even non-educators are, the people that created this art book reached out to us like, hey, we want to support what you guys are doing. That didn't exist before. And this is also an emergent trend that the community is increasingly supporting independent Bitcoin education, which again, a couple of years ago wasn't much of a thing. So I am super bullish that this network is growing, that it is strengthening, and that it is here to stay. And I think it is ever more important as the rise of Bitcoin Treasury companies and all these other aspects. There's also, and it's a little bit quieter, right? There's no big marketing team behind it. It doesn't ring the opening bell at the stock exchange. But simultaneous to that original spirit of Bitcoin persists and is actually growing. It's quieter, but it's very impactful and it's very much there. So to be able to witness that, just, I'm excited to get out of bed every day, and that's the chart that I'm looking at, right?
I'd love to see that in a chart. John's excitement over education is just parabolic. That's fantastic, and I would agree. Like the things that I've seen pop up and the grassroots side of Bitcoin does not seem to be waning in the face of the quote unquote like big players, right? Like just because Saylor's stacking 11,000 coins with his pocket change doesn't mean that individual Bitcoiners using this as freedom money has waned from where it was. In fact, I would echo that. I see so many initiatives to either educate people around, or as Bitcoiners kind of come together and create local initiatives to actually use Bitcoin as money. And all maybe not selfishly, but like I want to point it out. But again, we've got our SAT market here happening in 2 days, and local circular Bitcoin economy, and that's we're not doing that because Saylor just stacked 11K coins. We're doing that because we're passionate about actually using Bitcoin and see that as a mechanism to be kind of unshakable as a community, and censorship resistant, and all of the qualities that you want out of Bitcoin. And I love seeing initiatives like that and seeing people educating others around them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just education. It's like all of this grassroots stuff, like you mentioned, the SAT market and circular economies. If you look at a map of countries or cities that had a circular economy 2 years ago, 1 year ago today, it's more and more orange every year. If you look at the same thing with independent Bitcoin educators, it's more and more orange every year. And in fact, in a weird way, bullish that isn't the headline, that the headline is the distraction. The real work is happening behind the scenes, and it continues to grow. And it's like, okay, the good thing about the headline is the people who would have been most capable of hurting Bitcoin are no longer incentivized to do that. So I think it is going to lead to a situation where, these circular economies, grassroots Bitcoin education, that they might have been hostile to that in the past. I think it's the best thing that could happen is for us to be left alone, basically. We don't need the help of governments and corporations. Like, we can do this, just get out of the way. And I think that they will, right? I think that they are getting out of the way and letting people actually get things done behind the scenes, which is amazing.
Nice. Like that. I want to get thoughts from Pablo and then from Scott.
Yeah, I think this is a really good, the way I see things, there was like tranches of where we can put our energy into Bitcoin, and the one that John's talking about is the one that a lot of people can make a big difference in. And that's why I was previously in education, but I find even in Bitcoin, just that zone right there is a zone that everybody should be dipping into as frequently as possible to be able to encourage the grassroots movement, because you can feel it moving underneath all of these big headlines. There is a lot of smaller, more subtle, more nuanced, but like really stimulating and fun movement and curiosity and engagement and contact with other people as well. So yeah, I definitely feel like you can rabbit hole and then surface. It's like the whale, we'll go deep diving with the small schools of fish, and then come up, grab some air, and check out what's going on with the big headlines, and then head back down, because that's really where the movement is. And I find it like very almost intimate and more down to earth as well, for sure. Because grassroots is more down to earth by definition, right? So
yeah, 100%. Scott, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's also like harder to observe, and you really need to get down into the weeds to see it, and it's less sexy. So yeah, it's an unfortunate part, but it is cool when you get out and you see that these things are actually happening. There's a great story about some remote town in Brazil that somehow got a hold of the Koinos app, and now they're basically running their entire town on it. It's like hundreds of users, and I think that this is how it goes, right? Is like, it's the necessity of it, like where Bitcoin makes sense and where people are inspired to actually learn how to use it, instead of like, here, or like when I hear, I mean like North America, the entry point, because it's price. It really is, I think, for most people, they start wondering whether or not there's more to it after they've seen it like become radically more valuable to them in dollars over like some period of time. And so it's just like a different need for like a different point of interest, right? Yeah. So I think like where money's more broken, there's a much more foundation for people to be learning about all the reasons why they would want to learn about it. And I think expect that to accelerate as we get pushed into those positions in like places that have been more comfy historically. And I'm talking about Canada, if I could be more blunt about it.
Yeah. I think if you're not seeing these types of things around you, one of two things is true. One is you're not looking hard enough. Or two is you need to start it yourself, because if not you, then who? Mm-hmm. So, either or. If unfortunately there's not something near you, you can be that person. And a lot of people don't realize like this. They'll sit around saying, "Oh, I wish I had a Bitcoin meetup near me. I wish I had a good education base here. Wish I had a group of like-minded people. I wish I had a local circular economy." Those things don't come out of nowhere. They take massive personal effort. John, you can speak to this. Me Premier Bitcoin didn't just come into existence. It took blood, sweat, and tears of yourself and a lot of passionate people joining in along the way. And maybe you could speak to that for a second, like that journey and the drive to do so and push through and make it actually happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So One of the wonderful things about Bitcoin is I think it really is a tool to empower the individual in so many different ways. One of those ways is one of the things that Bitcoin teaches us and Bitcoin enables for us is we don't have to wait for anyone else to do it. We can take charge. We can do it ourselves. So here with my first Bitcoin, it's been a journey, right? We've been around for 4.5 years, and there were plenty of literal blood, sweat, and tears along the way. But a great thing about Bitcoiners is the passion, right? Like if you're passionate about Bitcoin, if you're passionate about creating a better future, then you can. Like you really, really can. You can start your own circular economy. You can start your own education project. It's not easy, but that's another thing to be bullish about. It's getting easier because there are, Bitcoin Beach has a circular economies white paper. My first Bitcoin, we are constantly building out more resources to how to teach your first student, how to host your first meetup, how to create an organization to teach your community. So none of those things existed years ago, right? They do now, and they're getting better. As more people use them and feedback comes in and more people contribute to them, they get better and better. And it actually gets easier and easier because there is a network effect to it, right? People have gone through this before. So maybe there's slightly less blood, sweat, and tears. Maybe not. I don't know. It probably depends on the specific circumstances. But yeah, it's not easy. But when it's never going to be easy to impact the future, to change the future. I think it's actually easier than ever to do that because of Bitcoin. I don't really see my first Bitcoin as a Bitcoin education project. I see it as an empowerment project, and Bitcoin education is hands down the best tool to get people started on that path. So just the fact that Bitcoin exists, I think shows us the way for so many other things.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. Again, it can be a labor of love. It can be tricky to navigate at times, but I think again, it's the continued efforts of individuals and the communities that rally around them that allow these things to become what they are. And there's definitely no showing, no stopping exactly what is being built there. And just a side note, I do know that YouTube being YouTube, just for whatever reason, just rug pulled us. But we'll be we'll upload the entirety of the conversation after the fact. We are still on X. So people are watching there, and we are still on Nostr, if I'm not mistaken. So either way, come on, YouTube, get your shit together.
It's my fault. I criticized the government of Canada. That was
we weren't that spicy, really, were we? I don't think we even deserved it. Like, we got to work harder for this type of pulling.
Yeah, Mark Carney was just watching very closely, and as soon as Scott uttered any sort of disapproval of the Canadian government, just rug pulled. That's okay. But anyways, if you're watching this on X or Nostr, make sure you give it a share. YouTube continuing to shit the bed as per usual, not unexpected. So nonetheless, let's continue on, and who knows, maybe it'll come back up. Nonetheless, John, I'm going to put a bow on this topic here. I love it. Again, so important, community building like this, and seeing. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Sorry, could I give one last shout out to the auction that I mentioned earlier? Just if people wanted to find it, it's just on scarcity. I don't know how to pronounce that, but if you go there, there's 20 hours left, and the proceeds help to support independent Bitcoin education. So just want to shout that out.
Yes, absolutely. So scarcity it's like the way you say it is if I'm not mistaken, there's some sort of like weird way of spelling it.
Scarcity sounds way much more badass than scarcity.
Yeah. I'm just finding the actual, or we'll bring up the link later in the video, especially towards the end, so everybody can find it and make sure that they partake. But either way, excellent topic, and we'll bring that up. And actually, John, I see it there, so I'll give it a quick share so everybody can see. Let me get my share screen up here. There we go. History of Bitcoin right there. So again, scarce.city, and you can find it under the auctions there. History of Bitcoin first edition. Looks pretty sick. And it's going to a good cause. So make sure you check that out. But continuing on here, we're going to find out why why Pablo is so damn bullish. We're going to do one final shout out to our sponsors. If you're joining the show, please do give it a share wherever you're watching. Make sure you're subscribed, following, whatever it may be. It looks like YouTube viewers are starting to trickle back in, so I don't know. Good job, YouTube. If you're on YouTube, go share the link and like the video, and maybe tweet at YouTube that they suck. But nonetheless, we're going to give one more shout out to our sponsors. We'll be right back to find out why Pablo is so damn bullish. See you guys in a sec. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? AQUA Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. AQUA also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, AQUA is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download AQUA Wallet today. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With NUNCHUK's HONEYBADGER plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. NUNCHUK is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The HONEYBADGER plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step-by-step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, ColdCard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the HONEYBADGER plan. Debify is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multisig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the ColdCard Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to debify.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen. All right, we're back, and apparently we're also back on YouTube. I don't know what happened. Scott got spicy, started yapping about the Canadian government, and Mark Carney maybe just rug pulled us for a little bit. He's learned a valuable lesson. The Canadian regime is the greatest government that has ever seen the light of day. I love the Canadian dollar. It is my main money and will be forever because it will definitely not be debased. But with that, we'll just
playing service to the fiat overlords there, Ben.
Yeah. That's what I do.
Topping up the meter a little bit. Just,
This is now fiat sessions. It's specifically Canadian dollar sessions. So enjoy, new format. But we're back. If you're back on the stream and you're watching here, returning, please do give the link a share, drop a like on the video. It'll help us kind of get things rolling again. Either way, we're back in, and we want to find out why Pablo is so damn bullish. So Pablo, I'm going to give you the main stage here. And same question everybody gets. Why are you bullish?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, like, and to get here, I was thinking about last year was the first time I did a Why Are We Bullish? It's been like more or less 10, 11 months since I was here. And you guys have funny timings, like, you know, like the price shit the bed and like it's pre-Christmas run up and you're like, yeah, bring Pablo onto a bullish spot. And I'm like, oh, damn, okay, let's dig out some bullish stuff. But it's good. It's good. It like forces me to reflect on everything that's been and everything that's to come. So super happy to be here at this time of the year, especially like everybody's looking forward to the next year. So as a recap, last time I was doing a Why Are We Bullish, I was in El Salvador traveling for pretty much the first time I'd left the country for a Bitcoin event. And since then, I've been really fortunate, really grateful to have gone to a lot of different places. Traveling, Ben, you just said you got from Mauritius, but like all four of us in this chat, we've been to some amazing places. It's been cool to hang with you guys, different parts of the world. And I think from the collective of that experience in 2025, I didn't just get to learn, but I got to verify that Bitcoin is a global money, like actually trying it out. And it was like unintended consequence of going to these beautiful places, talking about Bitcoin, like conferences and shaking hands and learning about new products and stuff. But actually the connectivity of the whole thing was like my biggest takeaway. I was like, oh crap, I can just actually go anywhere and interact with anyone, like across language barriers, across religious differences, across ethnicity, across like so many different ways that when we travel, we can kind of bump into those differences. But with Bitcoin, it just like super smooths them out. And it was just like such a big revelation that people have always talked about. You know, it's the money of the internet, and it's gonna give access to the global community to Bitcoin, and it was so much different to be able to experience it than just to understand it at first and be like, oh yeah, well of course, right? Anywhere there's the internet, we can have access to Bitcoin. Don't even need internet, you can still have access to Bitcoin. But to actually be like in Bali and like transacting with different people, or like paying a cab driver in Oslo, or like all these amazing places. It's not a flex to say that Bitcoin is everywhere, and it's wild. It's so crazy how you can take this thing with you wherever you want to go if you hold your own keys, and you can interact with people that you've never met before in a trustless way that actually builds a solid relationship. I've never had that traveling before. I've never had that moving countries before, and it's almost like Bitcoin's your best friend who speaks all the languages when you travel, right? You know, you're looking at a menu, Bitcoin's got you back. You're like trying to get somewhere, Bitcoin's got your back. Like it is the best travel guide ever. And I've really enjoyed filling out that experience. But then obviously when I come back home, I'm like, wow, okay, so how do we bring this into education? Like that's my speciality. And how could I channel all of that energy from having traveled and get back to Bitcoin adoption locally? And then that's why I started playing with the think globally, act locally. And this comes back to what John was saying, and with your experiences, Ben, that you mentioned about traveling recently. It's within everyone's power to be able to act locally to make Bitcoin fully global. So another thing I've really enjoyed is being able to develop ways of helping people learn about Bitcoin. Whilst I've been traveling, I've been doing some really cool workshops, and I've really got to find my stride in Bitcoin. It's using my God-given talents to be able to animate huge rooms. Ben, we had a great time at learning Bitcoin, like playing a trade game with 400 people. John, I've been working with you to develop Bitcoin for Juniors. We've just been doing so much cool stuff to make education fun, but the curiosity is out there and the people are out there, and it's within our reach, and this thing can go global very quickly along any type of project that you have. It's totally frictionless in terms of its reach. There's just got to be a lot of work that's done. So I'm bullish for what has been, with all of that said, but I'm also bullish for what we have to do now, and the work that now needs to be channeled through that experience to be able to reach as many people as possible. So I put as my little title here, Ed Dev, right? Like, you know, you jump into like a stream and ask for your name and you don't know what to put. You put your handle, your company, Bull Bitcoin. Like, what do we put? I put ed dev because I really am bullish about this idea that we can develop. I was never a tech guy. Got into Bitcoin for the pure freedom, and I hated fiat, right? But I wasn't a tech guy. But now I feel we can develop, and I don't like the word build. I think we overuse the word build. I'm gonna cross it out for 2025, 2026. No more build. We have to develop. We have to create. We have to inspire. And through doing ed dev is the way I really want to do it. And thankfully, what's really cool, if we look back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, to when I started working in Bitcoin, the amount of work that's been done by actual devs, not self-declared ed devs, but actual devs to build tools, it's so much easier. Like the mempool visualization for UTXOs is insane. The stackable wallets that use Liquid, Lightning, and on-chain is insane. Like the amount of ways that we can just really quickly bootstrap people through not having to just have practical lessons on Bitcoin, the tools that have been made in 2025. And I've had a really good time using the Bull Bitcoin wallet. This has been one, working at Bull for like the past 2.5 years. It was always a question of, I want to teach people about Bitcoin, but they've got to experience it so they can have the fun. But then the tools are a little bit clear. I use this wallet for that thing and this other thing for that thing. And that thing's a little bit complicated. We'll talk about it in 2 weeks. But using this type of wallet, it's like a full stack. And there's lots of different ones. You know, we've just seen from AQUA in the adverts, and, you know, all of the different services that Ben, you talk with so many different people who are designing all these things. So this is going to happen quicker than we think. And with regards to what we were talking about at the start of the program about, you know, the 4-year cycle and the paper Bitcoin and everything, that's, with no disrespect to the USA, I love going to the States. I find that some of the best and hardcorest and most inspiring Bitcoiners are in the USA. But all of those issues, whether it be Jack or whether it be Michael or whether it be other Jack, you know, like, it's very much a US-centric subject. And Bitcoin still is a little bit too US-centric, I find. Hash rate and paper. And what I'd like to really drive is spreading a different frequency. Like we were talking with John, just being able to broaden the bandwidth on that grassroots side of things. I think it's really going to break Bitcoin into being like a global movement, and we can get back into that opt-out culture that we kind of got into Bitcoin for as well. So it's been a crazy year, and I'm really excited for the next year to come. So grateful to everybody who helped me get to where we are today. Shout out to Bull, shout out to Learning Bitcoin, shout out to My First Bitcoin, shout out to Ben as a big mentor as well. It's just been crazy. And to anyone watching this, like, Bitcoin can do a lot of cool stuff. So if you're skin deep, keep diving and come find us at the grassroots.
Hell yeah. Well said. I think you're honing in on something that I think is the main passion that I have in Bitcoin right now as well, is just, again, how did you phrase it? That an individual can make major changes on a local level. Like, I can't remember exactly how you said it there, but
yeah, like, just it's like surfing the two things at the same time. To think globally but act locally is like a really nice way to do things. It's especially like, let's bash Canada again a little bit. Let's see if we get banned. I don't know, like, I kind of grew up in Bitcoin in the Canadian culture within Bitcoin. Like the trucker protests were a part of my grow up process. The kind of censorship of banking, the kind of protests, the underground meetups, that kind of adoption, that kind of pathway was kind of how I got into Bitcoin here in Canada. But then a lot of people in Canada who are Bitcoiners are still talking about leaving, or still talking about, what are we going to do? Where do you want to go? We don't know. Canada's broke. And it's like, Bitcoin is global, but you don't have to be. You really don't have to be. Like, you can look at the four of us here who do go to some amazing places, but you really don't have to be. And it took me a little bit of traveling to work that out. But I think that's part of it. The people can come to you as well. Like, I think that's also a huge part of it, is organizing events. We've had some great ones in Canada. And it's great to see people show up and experience something that's in your own way of doing it, when you get to vibrate what you like about Bitcoin into the event. So
yeah. Also, for those looking to leave Canada, if you're a solid Bitcoiner, I'm certain you'll get an expedited passport application in the People's Republic of Alberta. So
let's go. This was fun as well, like stoking a bit of sovereignty out there with you guys at the rodeo. Yeah. We also just at Bull Bitcoin, we just did a webinar with Citizen X as well. So it's on your terms basically. It's really on your terms. There's no like archetype of a Bitcoiner, orange glasses, eating steak and like on the beach. Like if that's not you, that's not you. That's cool. Like you do your own thing. But yeah, I think everything's there to be able to that you can be a Bitcoiner on your terms.
100%. I want to let Scott and John chime in on any beats that Pablo dropped here that really stood out to you. Anything you want to comment on?
Yeah, one thing that Pablo said, which resonated with me, was that Bitcoin is everywhere, right? That is a realization, like a more recent realization for me as well, because it used to be that you had to really look for it. You had to go to a meetup, you had to go to a conference. But now I was in New York last week on Long Island, like the suburbs, middle of nowhere sort of thing. And I had a hoodie on that had a Bitcoin symbol on it. Like I just put it on, I didn't think about it. And I just bought something at the store, and the person at the cash register was like, oh, cool shirt or whatever. And then we got into a conversation so long, his manager had to come and I think he got in trouble. But he was super knowledgeable. I thought it was going to be like, oh yeah, Bitcoin, like, I don't know, Trump likes it or some very superficial thing. But he knew so much about Bitcoin. His insights were like on point. And you don't have to go to a specific place for it. Like Bitcoin really has become a global phenomena, which is wonderful. And again, that was not the case before. Before you had to look for it, and now you don't. And to your point earlier, Ben, if you don't see it in the proximity of where you are, you could actually make that happen now, right? Like the tools are there now. So that's another reason to be bullish.
Yeah. If you're wanting it in your locale and you don't see it, there's a good chance there's a group of people that feel the same as you, and they just haven't taken the initiative yet. So you get to be that person, and they'll be very happy that you did. So yeah, reach out and get it. Scott, how about yourself? Scott?
There's a clip that makes its way around Twitter. I've seen it a few times, and it's Burger King accepting its first credit card payment, I think in 1993. And like this is the point that John was kind of making and Pablo about things like, they're happening, and they're happening actually quite quickly. It just maybe doesn't seem like it if you're fixating on the day-to-day, but like the actual mainstream payment architecture that has been built that we use today that works, was built by the biggest players in the world, and it's pretty new still, like in the grand scheme of things. So I think about like, Lightning Network was essentially crowdsourced and is not even 10 years old, and it works pretty good. Like it is happening very fast. So if you think about like Burger King taking its first credit card payment at a till like 32 years ago to today, and like just imagine Bitcoin at year 30. It's going to be insane. And and it's unstoppable. It's unsensible, unprintable money. Like everybody's going to want this thing. And I think the education piece, all these other things, it's just paving the way. And the other thing that I wanted to say about it was, yes, to the Republic of Alberta. I had said,
let's go.
I grew up in Alberta. I'm from Edmonton. And when I left, I thought I was done with my bitter, brutal winters. But if Alberta makes the move, you can definitely count on me. I don't know about Calgary, but consider me to invoke my birthright and head back to the sovereign state of Alberta.
Yeah, you can endure a little bit of a cold winter if you can stand out in the cold and be sovereign and free. So, yes. And also, we need to watch that Burger King clip because I found it. So let's
go.
Let's take a gander.
Yeah, just like really think about this. Like,
yeah, 1993, so 32 years ago.
Cash or credit?
What? The home of the Whopper is offering cash or credit.
I think it's pretty bad if you have to use a credit card when you go to a fast food restaurant for something as little as $3.10.
If I use my GM card and I get a 5% rebate, if I eat here long enough, I'll be able to buy a pickup truck.
Burger King bosses say workers won't have to figure out how much change the customer gets back.
I just hope it doesn't slow things down at the cash and carry, that people are going to be having to call New York and get the confirmation or, you know, whatever it is, because when I want a Whopper, I want it now.
Just another way to spend money. I'm sure it'll work for people on vacation when they don't have to do something, but I can't imagine it working on a day-to-day basis here.
So far, the smallest credit has been for $2.50, the largest just over 10. Jamie Costello, News Channel 2.
Wow. The way they talk about that, like, oh, this is, I don't know, you're gonna have to call New York, and like, this is what you hear when people say, oh, Bitcoin's not gonna be money. You have to like have internet and like all this.
All I was thinking was like business dev, like we should find some open source intelligence to find out who these people are, where they are, and just show up and be like, yo, you posted this like in 1993. Do you want to get a Bitcoin wallet? Like, I'll show you how to download it. You were wrong once. Let's not be wrong twice.
Dude, what we need is Burger King directly accepting Bitcoin on their own accord, and to make this exact video for Bitcoin.
Yeah, let's go.
But we need
I like shout out to the guy who was like, if I want my Whopper, I want my Whopper now. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
I hope it doesn't slow down things at the till. Like all of the people like manually like signing shit. Yeah, it's I think we need that. But it's got to coincide with Burger King frying everything in beef tallow again too. I feel like that should be like a joint promotion. Well, that's I love that clip. Any other comments on the grassroots thing? If you guys could give the people watching a call to action, something that you would love to see, or a piece of advice in kind of building locally, what would you guys say to people?
I'll jump in first because like through Bull, organizing a lot of meetups across Canada and then developing a lot of workshops and doing a lot of presentations, a lot of people looking to me to be like, I could never do that. Because they don't have that profile type. They don't think they have the knowledge base. They've never done it in the past or whatever. There's like people make up reasons why they think they can't do it. But like not too long ago, I couldn't. And if you feel like you've plateaued as a learner of Bitcoin, if there's stuff you're not learning right now, go out there and set up a meetup and get people asking you questions. You'll realize your blind spots, what you do know, what you don't know. And then all of a sudden you'll be ignited to like, oh, I really got to learn about this because I got to explain it next week. I think learning is the best way to mastery, and teaching things to other people is the best way to make sure you've really nailed what you think you've learned. So start stuff up. Don't be afraid of like not having all the information. It's all there on the internet. You just need to go and find it. Like you can reach out to any four of us on this call and we'll help you. Like, but just do risk a bit of reputation by being like, hey, I'm just trying to help the Bitcoin meetup. Like, hey, I don't have all the answers. Like, hey, I'll try and help you out with that one. But it doesn't need to be perfect. Like, in fact, they never are. Like, there's always something you don't know. And that's what's beautiful about it. It's the best subject you could be teaching. So do just try risking a little bit and getting out there, because you'll realize it's really good fun not knowing sometimes.
100%. Scott, how about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bitcoiners do want to meet. We started the meetup where I live, and it's a town of 100,000 people. And maybe 2 years later, we average say 30 or 40 people for every meet. And you're amazed like how many people find out about it, and they wish they had known earlier that it existed. They, and it's a great place for, all the people that do want an entry point to just actually meet real people who are actually Bitcoiners. And so I would say every time there's a meet, we have somebody new, which is really cool to see. And the other cool thing is, like, I think if you don't have a meetup in your area and you don't even want to run a meetup yourself, I would bet you that if you start one, in a very short time, you will find somebody in your area that is cool to run it, because It's just a matter of like taking the action, and I think that's been true in lots of places I've seen.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, meetups are great. That's another thing. Like if there was a map, I also love maps. So if there was a map of like,
shout out the maps.
Shout out to maps. Why am I bullish? Maps. If there was a map of where all the meetups, active meetups are 2 years ago, 1 year ago today, I'm sure that would also be grown along with the other things. So one thing, and this maybe sounds, I don't know, pessimistic or less bullish, but I think it actually is something to keep in mind when you're getting started with your Bitcoin journey to help others on that journey is perseverance and patience. We come from a world where we want everything to happen immediately. And, going back to the conversation earlier about like what's going on with the price of Bitcoin, is this the 4-year cycle over? Is it bull, bear, whatever? It's not about time in the market. It's about time in the market. And if you want to build something, so Bitcoin teaches us patience. Bitcoin teaches us to take a longer view of things. And it's the same to start anything. So maybe you want to start a Bitcoin meetup in your city. And you know what? The first time, like hopefully a bunch of people come the first time, but maybe not. But do it again. And do it again and do it again. And if you are patient and persevere and persistent, then you will be rewarded for that. You will be successful. And that is kind of in contrast to a lot of things in the fiat world where it's like, it's either successful right away or you give up on it. I think an important lesson that Bitcoin teaches us is to know where you want to end up, but don't care how long it takes to get there. Just keep chipping away at it.
I just wanted to jump in with something as well, because we've all kind of talked about meetups as well. But as I progress from Bitcoin evangelist into ed dev, whatever the hell these titles mean that I get to give myself a ball, I always like the meetup might be a lot of a big thing. It involves like finding a place and a time and like having a lot of people. And if you don't have like more than 4 people, so you can feel quite down about that and whatever may happen. But if I'm actually to look at like being an evangelist, like I think the best way, and I'm copying this from the church, right? The best way is to just be known as that guy that I can go to, that guy that I could call, the guy I can DM, like, hey, I got a question, like, I'm not too sure about this thing, like, and it might be 6 months down the line, but if you're always like presenting yourself as like, hey, if you got any questions about Bitcoin, just reach out anytime, like I'll be happy to help. And then like also like daring to bring it up in conversation. It might be like a lull in a conversation between buddies at the bar, or it might be like at the family supper or whatever, or it might be with your neighbor that you've hardly ever talked to about it. It'd be cool, like just go up to them and be like, hey, evangelist, like have you ever heard the good news of Satoshi Nakamoto? Like you could do that. Like it doesn't have to be like a whole show and deal with microphones and PowerPoint slides. It can really just be like, oh, I never knew, but like the guy who works in the cubicle down the hall, like he knows a little bit about Bitcoin. You should go and ask him. You want to be that person. You want to be the person that people refer other people to. Yeah. I think that's always a good way to position yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
And I just thought of an example to share from my first Bitcoin and how perseverance was so important to our success. In early 2021, kind of a precursor to my first Bitcoin, I went to Ecuador to try to get something going there. And it didn't take off. I tried for months and there was just no traction. After El Salvador announced that they were going to adopt it as legal tender, I was like, oh, well, maybe it's worth giving it a shot in El Salvador. So much work went into it, into the first class. The very first class that we had, one person came. The very first month of teaching, and this was the second attempt, right? Not even the first attempt, second attempt in the second country. The first month, we taught a total of 5 students. And from there, now we've directly taught tens of thousands of students. And we work with more than 70 projects who are much further, who have their own initiatives going. And like, it would have been so easy to throw in the towel when only one student came. We put in so much effort. Is it worth it? Maybe no students come, right? Like, do it again and do it again and do it again. And I think there's so many examples of that in the space that just keep chipping away at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the story of Bitcoin itself, right? Bitcoin launched to a deafening silence. You know, nobody really cared. It's like a few people already skeptical of it, giving it a go, right? Hal Finney, yeah, maybe. Marty Malmy, like there's a few people that were like, yeah, I guess I'll see, but I don't think this is gonna work. And here we are. And
yeah, plus like the size of the events isn't going to help adoption take off really. If you look at something like Vegas, which has gone bigger, like the US conference has gone bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's not like on that kind of zone that we're talking about. That's not where it's at. So it's not like we have to centralize into these huge like lasers and drone shows stuff to convince people. It's not going to be the Super Bowl. It's not supposed to be. It's just like this thing that just kind of crops up and it goes everywhere, like I was saying. Yeah. So take it everywhere with you as well.
Yeah, I'm more bullish on 30 to 50 local circular economies of 1,000 people than a single event attracting 30 to 50,000 people.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing that's unshakable, is if you can rally your people locally and begin like truly using this in a self-sovereign way. That's where Bitcoin cannot be stopped, because that just grows and it seeds more of it. And so I've through the conversation that we've had today, I think that this is the lesson that people should glean, that again, if not you, then who? And you are the people, and the people around you are the thing that, Bitcoin's a tool, and you're the people that are emboldened and strengthened by the tool. If you don't use the tool, it doesn't give you any strength, but it can give you great strength. So very exciting. Gents, I'm conscious of time here, and I'm going to round out, but really quick, I'm going to go down the line and just ask you guys if you have anything you want to point people towards, where people can find you, what you're up to, all that kind of stuff. So Pablo, we just finished with you. Let's get you first here.
Yeah, sure. So if you're in one of the countries where Bull Bitcoin operates, you should be using us as the most solid based and self-custody exchange. And if you're not, or if you are, or whatever, download the wallet, try it out. There's zero requirements, zero KYC on the wallet. And it's that stack that will help you be able to onboard the people around you super easily without having to explain a lot of the complexities. But eventually you can, because everything's built in. So I definitely give a big shout out to that. And anybody who wants to reach out to any events, guidance, EdDev. EdDev's a thing. If you want more EdDev, reach out to me, Pablo@bullbitcoin.com.
Awesome. John, I'll go to you.
I love that, Pablo. EdDev is a thing, right?
It's a thing.
Don't doubt that. It's a
we
thing.
can just speak it into existence.
It's a thing, guys. Bullish on EdDev. Yeah, so to follow My First Bitcoin on Twitter, then it would be myfirstbitcoin_. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, if you want to plug into some of the resources that we're creating, if you want to join the network, then you could find out tons more at the website, which is just myfirstbitcoin.org. And finally, just final shout out to the auction on scarcity, which ends tomorrow. That helps to support independent Bitcoin education. So please, bid on it if you can, share it. It's also a super cool art book, but somebody else could better speak to that. And finally, we create revolution by living it.
Love that. Scott, you got the final word here.
Yeah, if you're in Canada and you want to earn Bitcoin at work, or you want to pay your employees in Bitcoin, go to blockrewards.ca. And if you want to join our US wait list, you can do that, blockrewards.com, or reach out to me at scott@blockrewards.com.
Hell yeah. That's amazing. And Pablo, I'm going to second your Bull wallet recommendation. Did a tutorial on it a few weeks back. Anyways, solid wallet. You can get a lot done with it. You got
it's
your,
the everyday
hot
carry,
wallets.
bud. That's how I'm saying it. It's the everyday carry, and like the amount of integrations that we've managed to do in the past few weeks are huge, and there's more to come. If people are thinking, what about this one? There's more to come.
Yeah, I did the tutorial, and I had a peek into the beta and all the stuff that was going on in the background. But when I did it, it was the regular version, and so it had support to add cold card. But I knew what was going on in the back. There's like a list of hardware support.
Yeah. There's a queue.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, with that, we're going to round out here. Thank you, gents, so much for being on the show. Thank you, everybody that watched the show, even though we got neutered halfway through. A bunch of you found your way back here. And of course, everybody that's watching, self-custody is super important. Make sure that you use the tools. I always play a little clip at the end of the episodes. So make sure that you do head over and learn how to self-custody your Bitcoin. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to all the guests. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This was your bullish session. See you guys. Hey, you. Yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen.